I should have left you on that street corner where you were standing. But you didn't!
Previously on Lost in a Bookcase.
Also, there was just a lot of excessive drug use in this book, and that made me feel sad. I got some family that deals with that,
And now, Lost in a Bookcase.
I spent the entire month of May high.
I was high.
What is up, everybody? And it is me, your Casey, your girl, with a beautiful smile today. Look at these pearly whites. We are all good today. But it wasn't always that good. No. Reading was awful this month, except for like 2 things. Only 2 things. And one of those 2 things isn't even a good type of good. It's like a mediocre good, you get me? Like, this is an issue for real. It has been so long since I've had a 4, a 5-star, even a 3.5. My last 3.5 was Salt to the Sea, and even now I'm like, no, that's a 3. No, I haven't had a good book in so long. May? No. Well, except maybe one, but it's complicated. We'll get to that book last. However, yeah, guys, my teeth, all good. I can talk, I can smile again, I can laugh. It was so bad. Like, I had pneumonia, I've broken an arm, I felt pain, I've had food poisoning, but man, dental pain, nothing can compare to that, honestly. Maybe labor, gallstones, kidney stones, whatever they're called, but teeth pain, top 5. Stepping on a Lego, 4th place maybe. Literally one side of my face swell up, and it's all because of whitening strips. There's something going on in them, but my teeth do look shiny. Ching! If my editor knew how to do like a shiny star effect right there, she would have, but she doesn't know how to. Get on it.
I'm busy doing the accounting work you should be doing.
Anyways, guys, I had in the month of May, I had my first poll TBR, which I really do like doing, even though YouTube for some reason is getting rid of the poll option in videos, so I want to let you guys pick what I'm going to read, but it's going to have to be done through the comments now. And let me tell you guys, Kafka On The Shore, the one that we voted on, it was weird. But let's start with the DNFs first. The only 2 DNFs I had this month, but it was nearly 3. Okay, first up, we have a very unremarkable book that I don't even know how to begin to summarize because it left such an amazing impression on me. It did not. It is called I See You by Claire Mackintosh, a thriller, stocky thriller. Apparently, I did take some notes, but what was this book even about? I can barely remember. I remember the thing that finally made me DNF, but let me rememberize. In I See You, our main character is Zoe. She's your normal average girl, just living that life, doing that job. She takes the same exact route home every day. Subway, tram, you know the deal. But on this train one night, she discovers that a newspaper has a picture of her in it for some reason, on one of those pages that you call for services. And she's like, what the heck is this? It wasn't even a professional photo. It was just a quick snap picture, someone took it of her when she was just walking down the street. Yes, weird, and she can't figure out where this number leads to. She tries calling it, nothing comes out of that. She can't find what business it belongs to. So, she pushes it out of her mind. She goes back to her family. But then the next day, the same thing happens, except it's not her picture in that little part of the newspaper this time. It's some other girl's. And then coincidences upon coincidences, who ends up showing up on the news that night? Murdered. The girl whose picture was in the papers. So did Zoe dodge a bullet? Is this newspaper that has these ladies' face portrayed to the public? Is it some sort of target? Hey fellow serial killers, here's the subject of our new game. Is she being watched right now? Who put her picture in the paper? And our main girl Zoe, this is where I'm this was a really meh thriller for multiple reasons. I talked about Zoe's family. I believe she is divorced? Because I think her boyfriend is living with her, and her son? Did she have a daughter too? I can't remember, but I know the son was definitely I don't like your boyfriend. But I love it when thrillers have families, because there's that family juicy drama augmenting the suspense of a thriller. If we're attached to kids, it adds more stakes to the story. However, with this book, we spent so little times with the actual family that I really didn't care if anything happened to them. For our girl Zoe, she puts together the link. She puts together the link between these pictures and the newspaper to the murder really quickly. Maybe even before the murder happened. I cannot remember. Because before her picture is in the paper, before the girl who was murdered picture is in the paper, she has a neighbor, a friend, an acquaintance, someone who lost her keys on the train after her picture is in the paper and her house got robbed. So because of that, and because our girl Zoe found a picture of her in the paper. She's like, this is what happened. And she figured that out like at page 50. I'm like, that is really, really quick. Like, I guess smart of you, but yeah, it felt rushed. Really, really rushed. But she calls the police, and this is also something I forgot until I looked into these little pieces of paper. This book, it has another point of view of a cop, a lady, and she was just bland lady cop, like nothing important about her. Oh, I'm quirky, I'm dedicated, I want to solve this case. Chief, put me on the case. In between bland lady cop, bland protagonist lady who has a bland family. Was I interested? I want these people to live. No. Did I care they were being watched? Not really. Did I care enough to actually find out who was putting these pictures in the paper and why he or she was organizing this weird game these people were playing? No. But the thing that drove me crazy was, could I say it drove me crazy because it's technically doing a right thing by being detailed, but this book was very police, let's see, what's the word? Like, it loved police procedures. It wanted you to go step by step by step. Every time a new clue was found, all the police officers would gather in their little room with their coffee. The chief of police would stand up, and he would explain basically the book from the beginning to where they were currently at. Oh, we found a new fingerprint. Gather up the troops, get them together, and basically explained over and over again whenever a new clue was found. Basically, on this day, Miss Zoe whatever discovered that her picture was in the paper, upon which her neighbor was robbed, and her picture was in the paper as well. Every time a new clue was found, we started from the beginning, and just like, we already know this stuff happens. We don't have to review every little clue we already found. Just to jam a new clue in there. Trust us to collect these details. You don't have to take us aside and stop the story just to explain all the clues we've gathered so far. That took up a big chunk of the book, and by then I was bored. There was one little part that I did like about this, and it's a spoiler, so I'm going to put it right here. The thing that was going on with putting these ladies' pictures in the paper was that it was linked to a website that you went on, and you could buy information on these women to either get these little tidbits about them, like what their interests were, where they usually went to after work, how long it took them to get to work. You could buy that to try to get a date from them, or you could buy it and try to kill them. So this website was both a dating website where the ladies did not know they were being photographed, and it was then also, hey, look, this lady walks alone at night at 11 p.m. I like that, because love and murder, opposites or not? But anyways, it was just a really bland book, and I gave it up. And my next DNF is a very temporary DNF for 2 reasons. The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I was super excited about this book. I'm still going to read it. However, when I was reading this, my antibiotics and painkillers were at their most active moments. And whenever I opened this book, I'd just be like, whoa, man. So yeah, I could not focus. I needed a break from reading while reading this. But there was also some other things. I got to page 100 before I stopped, and I was getting some John Green vibes from this. Smarter than average boy meets a quirky pack of college students, wants to be part of their friend group. They go on some wacky adventures. That's basically what it is. And I really like the fighting style of the goldfish. And I really enjoyed Donna Tartt's, at least the first half of the Goldfinch. A lot of words, but it wasn't rambly, and I loved our main character Theo in that book. Also, in my drug-induced minds, the conversations these people were having in the main part of the book were too smart for me at the moment. We had these really intense Greek conversations wherever some sort of word was used as a locative or a dative? Locative or a dative, and just debating which one is which. And I'm like, what in the heck is either? So I'm going to keep this on my shelf, and just hopefully the mood will strike me to be bombarded by Greek verbs again someday soon, probably never. And now, guys, we're getting to the book you guys made me read, and I read it just for you guys. Why did you make me do it? Oh my gosh. Kafka on the Shore. I've never had a book drop from a 5 to a 1 like this book. What the actual heck? I realized something. I do not like magical realism. I can't stand it. I incorrectly called my second favorite book of 2019 Imaginary Friend by Stephen Chbosky. I called that a mix of thriller and magical realism. No, it's thriller and paranormal. Super good book. Crazy things that would happen without explanation happened in that book. But then all those unanswered explanations would eventually be wrapped up into one big explanation that was revealed like a good book would do. We would solve that explanation that was causing these little crazy things to happen, and everything seemed to work out fine. Like we had a cause, a source of the crazy magic, and we had an answer as to why these things were happening. Magical realism doesn't do that. Things are just thrown in your face just for the sake of weirdness. And if you're like me and you like, conflict to have a resolution, you want answers for everything, you don't like open ends, this drove me nuts. I legitimately hate this book. First off, it was a 5-star for at least 100 pages, maybe 150. I was loving it. It starts out with this boy, Kafka. He's ever since I was a kid, I knew I had to run away from home. So he's been preparing himself for this moment. He's been working out since he was a little kid so that he could be the toughest 15-year-old in the world. He's already determined where he's gonna run off to. He's gonna skip school, everything, just to get off the grid. And oh my gosh, he had this demon thing called Crow talking to him you gotta be the toughest kid in the world. You gotta be ready to run. And I'm like, I am hooked. Oh my gosh, you got a weird alter ego demon supernatural thing following you around like a shadow? Bring me with you. So we start off like that, and oh my gosh, I had a favorite character in this book. His name is Nakata. I believe that's his name. He is an old man with a little few mental issues. There was this weird accident back in his old school days when he was a little kid, elementary school, during World War II, I believe. There was an accident. He was knocked unconscious in a coma, no responses from him for a long time, but when he eventually woke up out of it, he lost the ability to read. A lot of cognitive thinking was gone, but he was just the sweetest old man ever, and I loved him. Whenever he would come onto the page, just light, bouncy music would just fill my thoughts as the background noise for his dialogues. And I loved him. He was so sweet. And our guy Nakata, he has the ability to talk to cats, and the cats in this book were really funny. I love the cats. He's able to talk to cats. He makes a living out of finding people's lost cats for them, make some money, and go back home and eat some eel. He loves eel. He has a very simple life, but everything changes when he goes on the hunt for this one kitty cat that is lost. And eventually at least the book says, he and Kafka's past intertwine around each other, which they don't because they never meet. But I was loving it. Kafka ran off. He started living in this library, helping the owners with it. Nakata was getting advice from Siamese cats on how to find this other cat that was lost. Everything was so good until the Johnny Walker scene. I love that scene. You guys read it. You know what happened in the Johnny Walker scene with the cats. It was horrifying. I do not deal with organs well. But right after that scene ended, everything went downhill in the book. First off, I'm going to start on Nakata. He went from my favorite character to relegated to the sidelines, basically. Up until the Johnny Walker scene, we were in his thoughts, in his head, at least in his chapters. But then afterwards, it's we got booted out to a bird's eye view, very sideways off. And Nakata's over here, and we're just here watching him. We didn't get his thoughts anymore, we didn't get his feelings, we were just watching his actions. And then this new side character, Hoshino? He gets pulled into Nakata's new mission in life to find this entrance stone. For some reason, Hoshino gets roped into this new adventure, and he's literally just a truck driver. He's not interesting at all. He likes baseball, that's it. And he was honestly taking up Nakata's screen time. Just replacing this bubbly, lively old man with the sweetest heart with just some random guy off the street who's literally there just to give Nakata rides and also to get him into hotels because Nakata can't read. So that's when it started going to a 5 to a 4 to a 3. Then, oh my gosh, the crap with Kafka. Haruki Murakami has an awesome writing style. The guy can use words, he's good at it. But this book had the cringiest, most useless sex scenes I have ever read. Ever. None of them needed to exist. Some of them were insanely morally questionable. So let me start at the beginning. Nakata's fine. Nakata's a nice, sweet, pure guy. But Kafka, he really likes to describe his penis. Okay, the guy's in anatomy. Okay, fine. Oh, okay. Then he meets this chick named Sakura. Okay, I forgot to tell you something. So Kafka. I did not know this was a retelling on Oedipus. You remember Oedipus? The guy who was like told, oh hey, one day you're gonna kill your father and marry your own mother. So this is what Kafka's dad tells him. One day you're gonna kill me, and not only are you gonna bang your mom, you're gonna bang your sister too. But Kafka, he was separated from his mom and his sister when he was super young, doesn't remember what they look like, so he looks at all these ladies and he's like, who's my sister? Who's my mother? I don't know any of y'all. But then he meets Sakura, okay? He's running away. He's on a train. He meets a girl named Sakura. They they talk a little bit. He's like, I wonder if you're my sister. But, she's a nice girl. She gives him her number, says, hey, if you need any help, call me. I live pretty close by. So, Kafka gets into some trouble. He gives Sakura a call. They go to her apartment. And, they're just, like, chatting up. And she's like, you're my brother. Like, I'll let you sleep over because I feel like you are my brother. Kafka's like, oh, that's nice. Like, I don't know who my sister is, so I think I'll call you my sister. And then Sakura's like, okay, yeah, that's really good. But remember, we're not, like, romantically involved. We're brother and sisters, basically. Kafka's like, yeah. And then Sakura's like, okay, yeah, so now that we got all that situated, now hand me your penis and I'll give you a hand job. What the heck? Do brothers and sisters do this? So Mr. Murakami has been interviewed saying Kafka on the Shore contains several riddles, but there aren't any solutions provided. You cannot convince me this man just decided to word vomit onto the page and just see what sounded good. None of the events correlate. Nothing makes sense in this book. Going on with the interview, instead several of these riddles combine, and through their interaction the possibility of a solution takes shape. And the form the solution takes will be different for each reader. To put it another way, the riddles function as part of the solution. It's hard to explain, but that's the kind of novel I set out to write. So what you're telling me is, we the reader are gonna each get something different out of this book. That is literally every book in existence. And I don't care what smarticle stuff is going on here, what metaphors I am missing out. Let me tell you what's happening on the page. We have a boy who dream rapes his sister and is like really enthusiastic about it. And I googled to make sure this wasn't statutory rape. A 50-year-old woman having the sex with a 15-year-old guy. Not statutory rape in Japan, by the way, because age of consent is 14. And this boy, Kafka, is so convinced that woman is his mother. I hate him. He is so messed up. And he's like, oh, I can't. You may be my mother, but I'm still drawn to you. You're not even trying, man. Run away, leave the town. Just stop. Haruki Murakami just threw whatever he wanted into this book. Fish falling from the sky? Okay, cool. Put that in. White crawly things crawling out of corpses' mouths? Sure, put that in it too. Sounds nice. Dead soldiers guarding an entrance stone? What's an entrance stone? Oh, it can be anything. It just opens something. And it can be anything. It's just the stone for now. And it's guarded by Colonel Sanders, who is not a human. He's a concept in a human body. So Nakata's big mission in life now is to close this entrance stone. And he needs Hoshi's? I'm gonna call him Hoshi. He needs Hoshi's help now to close the stone, because he's a big, strong man. You have to flip the stone over, and it weighs like 1 billion pounds. So Hoshi goes on this quest to meet up with Colonel Sanders, who's like, in order to close the entrance stone, I will tell you its location. But first, you must have sex with this prostitute. Why? It literally leads to nothing in the story. It had nothing to do with anything. I will say this book is made of about 10 events, none of them interacting with each other. None. It is just a book of cool coincidences. That's it. It's mystical. It's interesting. None of it makes sense, though. It's not worth the read. I can't stand Kafka. And it is out of here.
Yeah. Come on, Deputy. Come on. If I'd seen you was coming, I'd know what to do. I'd have raised both arms and I'd have whooped at you. Ain't very fast on your feet, is it?
All right, you stand still, Ernest T. Bassett, that's an order.
If a duck stands still, you can catch him by the bill.
And at this point, I was having a booktube crisis. I hadn't read a good book in a while. I was like, woe is me. I feel like a hypocrite telling all these book reviews, but not actually recommending any of these books to anyone. What am I doing? Just taking up air? Taking up your bandwidth? So then I put my foot down. I said, Casey, you feel this pressure to read books for these people, which I don't, but my brain tells me I do. You want to read new books every month so you can say something to the people, so you'll have something to give you a new adventure. every week. Finish a book every week, yeah. But when you're in that slump, or the books just aren't that good, you know what to do. I love rereading books, but because I've already read the books, said a review, moved on with them, I feel like they take up a place in my book reading schedule that just like pushes a new book I could have read back. So now I'm like feeling I don't have a time to reread books, but I love rereading books. And whenever I'm just not feeling any new books, rereads help me a lot. They help me to get out of a reading slump. So I said, this month is the month I reread Eragon. 3.5. Oh, do I hear disbelief in the comments? Did you think I would give this a 5? Do you think I'm biased? I'm gonna do a whole video review on this beautiful book. Now let me tell you guys, as a critical reader, critic, reviewer, whatever I am, my little buzzer, cliche buzzer, was constantly going off in the back of my skull reading this, but this is my childhood, literally. It is a part of my soul, and I will never hate it. I can tell you everything that's wrong with it, but I will never hate it. And I will get into fistfights with people who say they hate it, because it's basically family. But this reread did its job perfectly, made me excited again, and it gave me the energy to move on to a very strange book series, Shatter Me by Tahereh Mafi. There's no T in that. I somehow gave the first book a 4. It's not a 4. And I have so many notes on this series that I'm gonna have to do a whole separate video review for it. I was going to do one already, but my teeth got in the way. There's honestly only one reason why I gave this book a 4. Let me start from the beginning. Shatter Me starts off like any basic YA novel out there. Environment's all screwed up. Global climate change, whatever, starts affecting the human race. Human race gets angry. Human race goes to war. Stuff gets blown up. Land masses shrink. Some totalitarian government stands above the wreckage and decides to implement new rules. However, there's a strange mutation among the people which allows certain people these abilities, which has the worst world building ever. The world building in this series is very bland. It's like the basic dystopian novel out there. Among these freaks and these supernatural abilities, Juliet, our protagonist, stands out. She has lethal touch. Anyone that touches her skin, scream in agony. They touch too long, they die. So she's corralled up and she's thrown into some creepy mental institution where she basically lives in a dungeon. Has been living in a dungeon for about a year, I think. Till one day she is rescued by Warner. And he plans to use her as like a torture machine. And that man, Warner, is literally the best male protagonist out there. He's awesome. I love him. And he is a psycho. I love psychos. My copy of Shatter Me was lucky to include Warner's novella at the end, which I think is actually pretty essential to the story. Another beef with this series. That its novellas, its short stories are necessary. They're essential. You should have put it in the main book because I'm not going to spend $10 on this much of a book. However, Shatter Me, we are in Juliet's point of view, and you could debate me on this, and I would totally agree with you. First off, it starts out with Tahereh Mafi saying, "Hey readers, the strike-throughs in Shatter Me, like these, you see those? They are completely intentional. The writing in this series is occasionally as erratic as its main character and serves as a visual representation of the chaos in Juliet's mind. The repetition, the hyperbolic language, the obsession with numbers, these are not errors on the page." I really like this. I think that, yes, it has a really flowery, over-the-top writing style. And sometimes it would be too much, but I got why it was there. Because we're in Juliet's head. She's been tortured, experimented on, left alone, isolated for such a long time. Her brain is messed up a bit. She's scatterbrained. This book sounds like it's in a mad person's point of view, and it suits it well. I think it's a really good representation of an inner character, how they perceive things. So as much as the world building was awful, the writing style was great. You can also debate that there's insta-love in this book, not between Juliet and Warner, Juliet and Adam, the guy Warner sent into her cell, just like, feel her out while she was still in the mental institution, I guess is what it's called. But I got why it was insta-love. He's the first human that was nice to her, so Juliet latched onto him. And Adam's just a messed up weirdo, and I hate him. The characters, they are very good characters, but they're not deep. Like, imagine the most relaxing, perfect temperature, shallow baby pool. That's what these people are. Backstories? No, unless you're Juliet or Warner. But they're funny, and I like them. But oh my gosh, Warner, that guy was just a dynamic bag of sass and suaveness. suave, whatever it's called. He was classy, and I loved him. And he was sadistic, and I loved him. The second book in the series was absolute filler. Second book syndrome. That's basically the face of it right there. I honestly can't remember. There's not a lot of plot in these books. Like, it has the basic take down the government plot, but no, we're really just living out these characters' drama. And it can be interesting at times, sometimes it can't. This book, I think, surpasses romance standards, but it fails at dystopian standards, because this book had like the longest making out scenes ever. And me, I don't like those scenes. I think the plot just stands still whenever someone's making out for like 5 pages. It's literally standing still. So there are times where I'm literally, well, not literally, I'm literally checking my watch, just waiting for these people to stop. So this series isn't something I really have an opinion about. You tell me you love it? Good. You tell me you hate it? Fine. I would like to get into more explanation in the other video though, because I just have pages and pages of notes. And so this month was a pretty meh month. Nothing special at all. I currently have a poll up though, and I believe Inheritance, not the cycle, not my baby eldest, no. We are voting on between Legend of Drizzt, Inheritance, Trilogy, and Night Angel Trilogy by Brent Weeks. Currently, right now, Inheritance is in the lead, but we will see. We will see what I'm going to read. Thank you guys for watching, and please give a big round of applause to my guest star, Fancy New Tooth. She's just so beautiful. If you have a dentist out there that you love, give him or her a round of applause. My dentist literally had neck surgery 2 weeks before she did my root canal. She heard I was in so much pain, literally came to my rescue. Bless that lady saint. She was amazing. And I'm out of here, guys, because I got other books to read. And they are already so much better than May. May was not Bay.